thinks she's got a problem with the opposite sex. And if you don't like boys, don't you like boys' toys? Then also love you and she would connect. Hey, are you kidding me? The truth about Sydney, she's got a problem with the opposite sex. And if you wonder who's to blame, tell me how the hell she get a man's name. She went out to get a facial and she came home with her hair on a mess. She smelled like perfume with bones and pretty fingers, painted toe, and a freaky yellow lipstick stain on her dress. Like Rachel, she went out to get a facial and she came home with her hair on a mess. Well, Sydney thinks they are exclusive, but her Rachel is elusive at best.
Listening to Life with Mary Walter.
Life with Mary Walter.
She's well practiced in the art of voodoo. But next time nature calls, thanks to Sadie's voodoo dolls, they'll be burning like a fire for you. No, her sister Sadie born and grew up in Haiti, where she's well practiced in the art of voodoo. But with her low-reed guitar, Rachel won't be flirting, no.
Life with Mary Walter.
That you don't even care to share. With all your friends gathered all around to hear this sudden slippery sound. We'll take them back to where you once belonged. Show them everything you've got. Take them back to where you once belonged. This is your big shot. Take them back to where you once belonged. Show them what you got. Take them back to where you once belonged. This is your big shot.
You're listening to Life with Mary Walter. Life
with Mary Walter.
Hello, Welcome to Life with Mary Walter. How are you tonight? I know a lot of people are already here. Hello to everyone. Let's see who's here. Oh gosh, a lot of comments already. Al is here, which is amazing because Al is sick, like really sick, and he's here anyway. So Al, thank you so much. Ron says he voted. We've got Roger saying it looks like Shapiro winning in Pennsylvania for the governor. Not a super surprise. I was hoping Mastriano would win. Let's see. Bill is here as well. Bill says hello. Hello to everybody. So before I start the show, first of all, I'm channeling my inner Fetterman. I have a hoodie on. I was cold. I was really cold and I was running around. I was super late and James let me know late that he wasn't going to make it tonight. His girlfriend is sick, so he's taking care of her, which is wonderful. So I'm shorthanded tonight. So this will be a short show because the topics that I pulled were all like really good discussion topics with James, and he's not here. And I didn't have enough time to redo the whole show. So that's the first thing. If you're new to the show, of course, we hope you subscribe to the channel. Mary Walter Radio is the umbrella channel. There is another show on Thursdays that I do, podcast 7:15, Mary Walter Radio. That is our political podcast. This Thursday, we will be joined by Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation. We're going to talk elections because pretty sure we're not going to know all the answers right away. So Hans will be joining us to talk about election integrity and election analysis on Thursday at 7:15. Also, we're now uploading the audio from these two shows onto Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So it's just the audio. I didn't know I could do the video as well. But I think for some people, just listening to the audio is great. So, but they're both up there. They will, James was going to do it for me, but since he's taking care of his sick girlfriend, he will probably not be doing that tonight. Tonight's podcast, of course, I love your comments. Please feel free to leave your comments and I will read them as we go along, especially now that we have people who will just listen to the audio and won't see the actual video. Roger's saying that Shapiro won supposedly because he outspent. He says the other guy being Mastriano. So I hope that Roger, since he lives in Pennsylvania, didn't just vote for the other guy. I hope he voted for Mastriano. So, okay. Because this is a no politics podcast, I wasn't going to do it tonight. And I thought, no, I'm going to do it. We're going to do a no politics podcast. Later, and as I said, we're going to be ending this podcast early. Try to end it by 8 o'clock because at 8:20 I will be on KWAM, KWAM out of Memphis on the Todd Starnes Radio Network. That is simulcast mostly through the southern states. And I'm just doing 2 segments of, what's going on with the elections. And then at midnight Eastern, midnight to 3 a.m., I will be on Sirius Patriot Channel 125. And I thought, wow, like midnight to 3 a.m. Oh, it's kind of a crummy slot, right? But when you think about it, it's 9 to midnight out on the West Coast. And a lot of these races, we're not going to know right away who won. So a lot of results will be coming in late. So it's actually going to be fun. I think I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun being able to sit in the chair until 3 with races coming in and calling them. So please join me there as well, midnight to 3 a.m. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is, and James and I had talked about this because I found this article in Psychology Today about whether Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. Because you always hear, TDS, boy, you suffer from TDS. And I'm sure we all know someone in our lives who suffers from TDS. I do. I know people that if you just say Trump, they just go crazy. And that's my argument. And as I say, I kind of want DeSantis to run. We know Trump's going to announce. I get it. But I kind of want DeSantis to run because I don't think the people on the left have DeSantis derangement syndrome yet. There's no DDS yet. They don't have that same knee-jerk, oh my God, he's a Nazi, the world's going to end response that they do to Trump. There's something about Donald Trump that triggers them. And they lose their minds. They just go off screaming, crying, ranting, banging their heads against, walls. They go out of their minds. I don't think that would happen with DeSantis. People tell me I'm wrong, but I don't think that will happen. Someone texted me. Oh, no, nobody texted me. So I don't think that'll happen. So that's part of it. I kind of don't want to see President Trump run. But I want to know if you think that if you think that Trump derangement syndrome is real. Do you know anybody with TDS? Because I do. And a lot of times they're the same people that are, wearing masks in the car by themselves or won't attend, you know, social events unless they have a mask on or everybody's vaccinated and boosted. It doesn't matter if the booster was a year and a half ago and it's no longer effective. As long as they know that you've been vaccinated boosted, then it makes them calm. It's calming to them and it kind of coddles them, even though it makes no sense. James, keeping that Keurig cooking, won't you? Well, I do not own a Keurig because I don't like the little cups that go in a landfill. But yes, I will be making coffee tonight, James. Roger. Roger says, I work with two of them. TDS. Trump is still taking up space in their heads and he is not in office. It's so true. So do you agree with me when I say, you know what? I think that if Ron DeSantis is the candidate instead of Donald Trump, that there are fewer people are going to go, oh my God, I hate Trump. I know people who will not vote for Joe Biden who sat out the last election just because they didn't like Trump. They didn't like his personality. They wouldn't vote for Biden, but they didn't like Trump's personality. And I know people like that. And I know if Trump runs again, they're not going to vote. They're just not going to vote. And that's how Republicans lose an election. Whereas if it's Ron DeSantis, he can have the same policies as Trump, but he's more polished and he's not as, I guess, nails on a blackboard to some people. I'm not saying Trump was a bad president. I think Trump was a great president. If Trump runs, I will support him. Our Trump flag will be flying in front of the house. But I don't think people have the same reaction to Ron DeSantis. Leave your comments. I'll put them up and I'll read them. So interesting piece in Psychology Today, and it starts off by saying that over 70,000 people who self-identified, so who knows, as mental health professionals signed a petition declaring during Trump's presidency that Trump is mentally ill and must be removed. Now, they did not examine him or anything. It's just that they felt he's mentally ill. He's a crazy man. I mean, if you want to see Trump derangement syndrome, because I think it exists, on parade with all their freak flags flying, watch Morning Joe. Morning Joe, Mika and Joe they were losing their minds today. They had 6 people on set, which is ridiculous. They were all talking over each other, but it was all Trump is the worst. Trump is terrible. Trump is horrible. He's going to declare because there's indictments coming in. He's still living rent free in their heads. It's absolutely crazy town. By the way, I will be taping. I will be recording MSN Morning Joe and The View, just so I can watch it tomorrow, because I'm going to watch them lose their minds. Hopefully, fingers crossed. James, never sit out. Write someone in. Doesn't so much matter who. Make your voice heard. Yeah, I can get that. But if you're just writing a name in that you don't really care about, what's the point? Really, what's the point? It's not going to change anything. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of informed voters, not just going and casting a ballot just to cast a ballot. Roger, I would love Trump to run, but people hate him and won't vote. Want real TDS, just watch The View. Oh, the yapping Yenses, like I said, I'm recording it for tomorrow. I am going to sit down when I finally wake up from my coma after being up till 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. I am going to sit there with a big mug of coffee, and I am going to sit and I'm going to watch Morning Blow, and I am going to watch the yapping Yenses on The View, and hopefully I will be laughing. Hopefully. I don't think anything's in the bag yet. I truly, truly don't. Al, only Trump can fix the U.S. The Trump versus DeSantis is a smokescreen to trigger left to distract them from the plan. Yeah, maybe. Mitch McConnell likes DeSantis. He doesn't like Trump. To me, that says everything. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, that says everything. All right. So this piece talks about the mental illnesses are officially classified in a book that's published by the American Psychiatric Association. It's called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, DSM-5. Trump, Whoopi left Twitter Whoopi left Twitter. Oh, I didn't realize Whoopi left Twitter. That's awesome. Okay, the book contains 947 pages and it lists hundreds of mental disorders. TDS is nowhere to be seen in that official book, the DSM-5. Similarly, a review of scholarly databases such as Medline and Google Scholar reveal no academic pages on this alleged syndrome. Officially, at least, TDS is not real, diagnosable, or a treatable mental disorder. That said, medical anthropologists and critical sociologists have convincingly argued that DSM-5 is a flawed document. They say social scientists have long recognized that there are numerous folk categories of mental disorders that are considered real by the general public, even though they're not recognized as such in that book, the DSM-5. These include categories such as burnout or nervous breakdown. Roger said that big announcement on the 17th. Yeah, everybody who said Trump was going to make an announcement last night, I knew they were wrong. Tiffany Trump's getting married this weekend. He was not going to make an announcement last night. And I was sitting there praying because he didn't want him to make an announcement before the midterms. Thank God he didn't, but it wouldn't put it past him. This is the other thing. He makes me nervous. Love him, but he makes me nervous. Okay, so there's no official designation of Trump derangement syndrome. But that just because they don't recognize it in that official book doesn't mean that it's not a real mental condition. Again, this is according to Psychology Today. There is no shared lay understanding of TDS mainly because it's a folk category rather than a professional category. The name itself says it's a syndrome, and a syndrome is a characteristic combination of opinions, emotions, or behavior. Several commentators have said this, took that and said, yeah, it's real. And they started to, put forth suggestions about what kind of emotions and opinions and things like that would signal TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Shared amongst these is a notion that everyday activities of President Trump trigger some people into distorted opinions, extreme emotions, and hysterical behaviors. Of course. How many pictures have we seen of women in pink pussy hats, on the ground, throwing themselves on the ground in Washington, D.C., screaming, crying because Donald Trump was being inaugurated? It's just ridiculous. It's just not a normal response. Bill says this country has to go red to fix this mess. Also, I hope Robert Arace wins mayor of Manchester, New Jersey. I have no idea who that is because I am not from Manchester, New Jersey. So, sorry about that, Bill. Let's see. All right. In its official, okay, so let's talk about the emotions. And do you know anyone? Do you think Trump derangement syndrome is real? I'll start there. Okay. Bernie Goldberg, who's a well-known writer, you've heard of him. He has given examples of TDS. And he said they include fainting, vomiting, students retreating to safe spaces, and other people demanding therapy dogs. Remember when the kids after Trump got elected, they had to have therapy dogs in safe spaces so they could work through their trauma? That's not normal. That's not normal. There's something wrong with you if you need a safe space or can't go to class because someone was elected president that you don't like, that you disagree with. It's ridiculous. Let's see. Political commentator Justin Raimondo wrote in the LA Times that sufferers speak a distinctive language consisting of hyperbole, leading to a constant state of hysteria. The afflicted lose touch with reality. I think that is totally real. The people that I know who have it, I just don't even I can't with them anymore. And I've had people, one of my college roommates, and I've told you this, unfriended me on Twitter, on Facebook, like totally dumped me on Facebook because she couldn't believe that I voted for that racist, Donald Trump. And so she just threw away, our college years, our relationship afterwards, my wedding, her wedding. She just threw it away because she couldn't believe that that I would vote for a racist. And that was it. Now that's not normal, right? Like that's just not normal behavior. Roger, if all these sources admit TDS, then they have to acknowledge Trump. James, don't forget we are now also having EDS, Elon derangement syndrome. Yes, for Elon Musk. All these Nimrods screeching and deleting accounts, they are censoring themselves. 100%, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. I love it. I love it. How many of them are going to sell their Teslas, right? Because I can't believe they gave him the money to buy, by them buying all these Teslas and saying you should buy Tesla. They gave him the money to be able to buy Twitter, right? And they were screaming before that he was going to, he was going to get rid of the safeguards. He was going to allow free speech and everything. Now they're screaming, now they're crying when they're getting censored. The White House had two tweets now. I think it's two with it that had a clarification put on it because it was considered wrong. It was fact checked, and they're outraged that the White House had tweets fact checked with context put in it, and they're outraged about that. But yet at the same time, they're outraged that Elon Musk wasn't going to fact check. So when he does fact check, they get upset. So they just don't like this new world, which the rules apply to them as well. It's just not working for them. I've always said it's like playing Candyland with a toddler, and the rules have to be their rules. And if you don't play by their rules and they get really mad and they walk away and they just, fling the pieces off the table and they have their little temper tantrum and away they go. That's what Twitter has become. But it's adults, so you can laugh and make fun of them. When it's kids, you can't do that. You got to let them win. Let's see. Yes, Elon derangement syndrome. Al says, look at the history of PTSD. It can be caused by different triggers. Yeah. Ron, been using this a lot lately. Emotions shut down critical thinking. 100%. I got my co-host Vince a T-shirt one year that says, "My facts don't care about your feelings," and it's so true. My facts don't care about your feelings. These are the same people that wander around talking about my truth. If you watch, which I'm trying to think of the shows, Married at First Sight. Sorry, I watch it. Teen Mom, I watch it. But the way these people talk, I acknowledge your feelings. They actually speak to each other that way. I acknowledge your feelings. I realize that you're sitting in your truth. This is how these people talk to each other now. There's no such thing as your truth. There's truth. You may see it differently than I see it, but it's like a good argument. There's his, hers, and the truth, right? So it's his opinion, the way he sees it, the way she sees it, but the actual truth to an outsider is right there. Truth isn't different. It's the truth. But we have an entire generation coming up that thinks that there's their truth. Well, my truth is that Trump's a Nazi. Well, no, that's your feeling. That's your emotion. That's not your truth because that's not the truth. Let's see. Roger says, Shonda Rhimes left too. Aw. Good. They can move to Canada next, as far as I'm concerned. They say they go on in this piece in Psychology Today to compare the emotions that you're seeing from the left and these Trump derangement people when it comes to Trump to what you saw in the early 60s with Beatlemania. There were these young girls screaming and fainting and crying, and they were so overcome with emotion, just, when they see the Beatles, they're like, ah, that's the same thing with these people with Trump. And they're not far off. They're really not far off when they make that comparison, right? They say many others ridicule the notion that Trump derangement syndrome is anything but a malicious slur term used to discredit and delegitimize criticism of President Trump. See, I disagree with that. You can criticize the president, but that doesn't mean that if someone criticizes something that, criticizes you for your views, that doesn't mean that it's a slur and they're automatically wrong. It may mean that you're a little too sensitive and you can't take criticism. They talk about Chris Cillizza on CNN said, the truth is that TDS is just the preferred nomenclature of Trump defenders who view those who oppose him and his policies as nothing more than blind hatred. Adam Gopnik, so our problem is not TDS. Our problem is deranged Trump self-delusion. They just don't get it. The left has no ability to laugh at themselves. The left has no ability to laugh. Liberals suck the fun out of everything. My co-host Vince got me a mug that actually says liberals suck the fun out of everything because I say it all the time. They do. They're not fun people. I don't want to be around someone who might wet their pants because somebody says that Trump's a good guy, right? It's like having fainting goats around. You ever see fainting goats? You ever see those things? They just fall over when they get scared. It's the same thing with these Trump derangement sufferers. That if someone says something about Trump that they happen to like Trump for saying something good about him, they just lose their minds and they fall over and faint. Fainting goats, they just scream before they do it. So anyway, so something to think about whether Trump derangement syndrome is real. All right. this next story. I brought this story into this show on Tuesdays, the Life with Mary Walter show, which is non-political, as opposed to the Thursday show, which, as I said, Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation will be joining me on Thursday to do some election analysis, to talk about maybe some problems, election integrity, those types of things, because he is really on top of all of that. So he'll be joining me on Thursday to talk about that. But I brought this story in here instead of that show because it's kind of a life issue for me. Let's see. Roger says, speaking of Twitter, Jack Dorsey beta testing Blue Sky, his version of Twitter, which he developed while at Twitter. So does Elon actually own that property? Oh, Mark Dice touched on this today. That's a great question. I don't know. I am not a lawyer. I do watch Judge Judy, though, so I can play one on a podcast. But I don't know. That's a great question. If he developed while working at Twitter, does Elon Musk own that as well? I don't know. It's a great question. Holy Christmas, the wind is blowing out there. What is happening? Oh, I don't know where you are, but here at the Jersey Shore, it is howling. And I know the flags are up, which makes me think I'm going to be going outside later in the howling wind to bring the flags down because they're still up. All right, so let's move on because I do want to end this like around 8 o'clock because I will be on KWAM, KWAM. Search for them online. You can listen online. They also have an app. I believe if you go to tune in, they're available there as well. But I'll be on for 2 segments talking about the elections at 8:20. So I want to move. So, okay. I am one of those people. I swear I'm not an 80-year-old little old lady, but I loved Sears. I always thought that Sears was one of the best stores ever. And I thought it was terrible what they did to Sears. I thought they dumped Sears into bankruptcy. I thought they drove it into bankruptcy. I thought that the guy who bought it, Eddie Lampert, just bought it so he could just destroy it. I thought Sears was a great store, and it used to make me so sad to see all the things that they did with it because Sears didn't have to die. I think I had so many great ideas for Sears. Seriously, Eddie Lampert, call me. You could have brought Sears back. You screwed the pooch though, dude. So Sears is out of bankruptcy. They closed the Sears near me, which made me really sad. The best sheets in the world I ever got were from Sears. They were the best sheets ever. And unfortunately, I can't get them anymore. And I went online looking for them, can't find them. But they have emerged from bankruptcy after more than 10,000 court filings and a 4-year stay. They shrank from almost 700 stores to fewer than 24, fewer than 24 stores, and none near me, which is very sad. There is one in New Jersey, though. At its peak, they were the world's largest retailer with nearly 3,500 Sears and Kmart stores, including 2,350 full-line and off-mall stores, 1,100 specialty retail stores. They also had a portfolio of prominent brands and operating businesses, including Kenmore, DieHard, Craftsman, Sears Home Services, Sears Auto Centers, and Innovel. Never heard of Innovel. Walmart at the time had only 3,000 stores, 1,353 discount stores, and 1,713 supercenters. All right. So Sears is coming back, but they don't think, okay. So James just said, oh, how sad that the wish book disappeared. So James, when I was going to Sears when it was dying and it was really making me sad, I used to go in there all the time and go, you could save Sears. They never should have sold off Craftsman. Craftsman was amazing. I always thought that they should have brought the wish book back and you sold it for $10. $10 delivered to your house, because every kid that grew up with the wish book, right, would buy it for their kids. It would have been fantastic. It would have been a great way for them to make money. It would have carried on the tradition. I had a tagline for them. I'm like, not your grandmother's Sears, right? Like it's a new Sears. There was so much they could have done. Sears at one point had some of the best women's lingerie. I'm just saying, like the best. And except the one thing that I didn't like about it is the bras were on this side, and the panties were over here, and it was a pain in the butt because I had to keep walking back and forth. I got so many great buys at Sears. They didn't advertise it. I think they fell into this, Sears is an old grandma store. And it wasn't like that. My husband used to get I remember they would have sales in the Craftsman department, in the tool department. And you bought a bag, like this paper bag for $10 or whatever it was. Was it $10? Oh, he's on delay. But $10, $20, whatever it was. You bought this bag. And whatever you could fit in the bag, you got for that amount of money. Oh, 15% off everything you could fit in the bag. That's what it was. Okay. The Wish Book Toys R Us too. I don't know about that. Roger S was the Wish Book Toys R Us too. I don't know. But I remember the Sears Wish Book because when I was a little kid, I grew up in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey, and we didn't have a mall. We didn't have these stores. My mother bought our jeans and our clothing from a barn on a farm. So I never had like girl jeans. I always had boy size jeans. That's what we had, right? So we had a Sears delivery place. It was this little tiny store, like storefront in a strip mall, and you always had to go around the back, which was so exciting when we were children because you're like, oh, there's a back of the mall. Oh, and you went to the back and you would order things out of the wish book and it would be delivered to that little store. They didn't even deliver it to your house. They would deliver it to like this loading dock with an area where you checked in, and then they would hand you your stuff and then you drove home with it. So the wish book was everything to us when we were kids. Okay, Al, we've moved on. The left knows Trump's Confederate policies. Yes, they do. Okay. So anyway, I'm kind of excited that it may not be gone forever. It may come back, but they don't think it's going to. The prognosticators are saying it's just going to be the vultures picking at the carcass of a dead Sears, which it didn't have to be. And so I needed it. That's why I put it in the lifestyle thing, because I remember Sears so much. And I mean, that's where you went when you wanted a really reliable appliance. What did you do? You went to Sears, right? And you got reliable appliances. Where do you go now? Now it's a free-for-all, right? Sears was the place you went. It's not the place you go to anymore. There are, though, some Sears around. So, oh, by the way, they sold Craftsman to Black & Decker in 2017. They sold something else, too. But they do have this new thing called Hometown, these home stores. And there is one of those near us, Sears at Home. It's the at home store, and it's kind of like it's kind of like a large, like trying to think of the one I can't remember the name of HomeSense, like a HomeSense store. It's kind of the one that's near Marshalls, whatever, Home Goods, like a Home Goods, a HomeSense. That's kind of what at home is like. It's okay. It's not great, but it's fine. I don't think that's their answer, though. Roger says they should have kept all the automotive stuff. That's another thing they sold off, was the automotive things. They sold Die Hard to Advanced Auto. Let's see. They closed the final 15 Sears Auto Centers were closed in January, and that's what Sears had. Sears had like the trust. They had that name, So here you go. If you live there, are fewer than 24 Sears stores. There's one in Anchorage, Alaska, 4 in California. 1 in Fort Collins, but it's only appliances and mattresses. In Florida, there are 3. There's 1 in Honolulu that is appliances and mattresses. In Kansas, it's Home and Life. Louisiana, there's 1 Home and Life. Maryland, there's a Sears, like an actual Sears in Frederick. In Massachusetts, there's 1 in Braintree. In New Jersey, there's 1 in Jersey City. I'm not going there just for Sears. North Carolina, in Greensboro. In Pennsylvania, Camp Hill. Puerto Rico and San Juan, Texas, there's 2, 1 in Far, which is appliance and mattresses. El Paso's regular. And in Washington State, there are 2. So you can get Sears if you live in any of those places. But I just had to share that because I had such fond memories of the Wish book. And even as an adult, my husband and I were in Sears all the time. We needed appliances. That's where we went. That's just where you went. And they blew it. All right. A little bit more of voting. I'm almost done here. This story's out of Breitbart. So these strippers at a topless bar in North Hollywood, California, wanted to unionize. So they elected to form a union, and now they have to wait for the results of the election, because how many strippers could there possibly be? But because there's a dispute of their vote by mail ballots. So it's not, this country can't do anything. I know nuns that run tighter bingo games than the elections being held in this country. It's absolutely insane. Roger's going to pop my bubble here, burst my bubble here on Sears. He said they're not that reliable. My fridge died. Inside tag said built in April 2015. April died May 2020. Had to buy a new fridge. I actually spoke to the president of the appliance division and said my mom had a fridge for 30 years. Yeah, a lot of stuff has built-in obsolescence now, Roger. It's very true. Okay, so several dancers at the Star Garden Bar want to form a union within the Actors Equity Association, but the management of the bar is alleging that many of the ballots were submitted by people who have never worked at his establishment, so therefore they shouldn't be voting. According to the LA Times, which reported on this, which is hilarious, then the NLRB said Monday, that's the National Labor Relations Board, said yesterday that a majority of the ballots were challenged by the club and that the labor board couldn't complete a tally. The director of the board's Region 31 Los Angeles office will need to determine whether the 16 challenged ballots should be opened and counted. One ballot cast in the mail-in vote wasn't challenged and one ballot was voided. An attorney representing Star Garden, the club, said that the club argues that dancers who submitted ballots were not employed by the business and thus were not eligible to vote. This is hilarious. That's why we shouldn't have mail-in balloting for anything. Star Garden originally tried to argue that it was not subject to union elections because it had less than $500,000 in annual revenue, but the NLRB disagreed, saying that its future revenue projections would exceed that. Now I got a problem with that. Just because the NLRB says that the club's future projections would exceed 500,000, thus making it eligible for a union, doesn't mean it will. It doesn't mean it will. What if we go into a depression? What if they don't make 500,000? Are you going to go back and ununionize those people? I call BS on that. That's ridiculous, NLRB. James says America is a McDonald's and our voting systems are the ice cream machines. That's hilarious. I saw some comparisons today that, the lottery will be able to come out and tell us who won, how much the prize was, and the store that the ticket was, how many winning tickets there are. They know how many tickets were sold, how many tickets were bought, how many tickets are winning tickets, and where each individual store, where the winning tickets were sold. They'll be able to tell us that, but we can't do that with elections. And then, of course, they had a delay counting, coming out and finding the winner. There's a little bit of a delay in announcing a winner in the Powerball, but not even close to what it's going to be in our elections. Pennsylvania is going to be still counting votes a week from now. Roger says, stripper bar, did the votes have hanging chads? That's very cute, Roger. The votes have hanging chads. That's good. All right. Lastly, just some funny news. I thought of that the commercials for farmers. They have like this weird thing that something happened to somebody, and it goes, "It happened. We paid for it. We covered it." Right? Like it's something really, really weird. Well, CBS News is reporting that officials are investigating the cause of a house fire in Northern California. And they're considering the possibility that a meteor struck the home on Friday evening. The fire was reported on the day when the annual torrid meteor shower peaked. My friend Aaron said the machines broke. Yes, in Arizona, they are not counting. Roger says my friend in Arizona said the machines broke. Yeah, that's in Maricopa County. They don't have any tabulators. It's 20% of those supposedly. So the San Francisco Chronicle is saying that the fire was reported at 7:25 p.m. And was contained by 8:55 p.m. According to Fire Captain Clayton Thomas, it occurred the same night the torrid meteor shower was underway, and many residents reported seeing a bright light shoot across the sky, and it appeared to land in the area near the home immediately before the fire began. The fire destroyed the home, as well as a truck and a car parked outside the home. No one was injured or killed, but a pet dog and rabbits were lost in the fire. Oh, that makes me sad. He said, I've been an investigator for 12 years and in the fire service for 25, and I've never seen a fire that was caused by a meteor. We covered it. We are farmers. So I just want a little laugh at the end there. So I'm sorry for the abbreviated podcast tonight. I will be on KWAM coming up at 8:20 Eastern for 2 segments. I'll be out 8:20 and then 8:40. So probably I'll be out by 9 o'clock, somewhere in there. It is syndicated on Todd Starnes Radio Network if you're in the South. Otherwise, just go to KWAM online and you can listen online, or I believe you can listen by looking on iTunes. On Thursday, also later tonight, after that, from midnight to 3 a.m., I will be on Sirius Patriot Channel 125. Please join me, because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of breaking news, a lot of races that are going to be decided late. And so I will be there to cover those. Yay, I get to be there to cover that. And then don't forget, when you get up tomorrow, make sure you watch Morning Joe, especially if things go the way we hope they go. That'll be fun. And The View, that will be another one worth actually recording and sitting back maybe later on in the evening with a beer, some popcorn, and watching that, if things go the way we hope that they go today. And if you have not done so, please subscribe to the podcast. Please like the podcast. You can go back and watch and like past podcasts. They're all there on YouTube for you to do that. We will be uploading the audio of these shows to Spotify and to Apple Podcasts. A couple of are up already. So we're doing that. We're trying to streamline that process, since it's just me and the IT department upstairs who are doing this. Hopefully James will be back with me on Thursday. If not, maybe I'll get Christine Flowers in. Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation will be joining us on Thursday to talk election integrity and election, results, and just some commentary on that. So I think that is it. I think that's everything. I appreciate you guys so much. Again, I apologize for the abbreviated podcast tonight, but I had to do a little something here. You know what? I don't have a going out thing for this. I have to use the one from Mary Walter Radio. I thought I had one, but I guess I don't. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful night. Al, feel better. All right, Al, feel better. And Al is not feeling well, so a couple of prayers for Al, even though he's here with us tonight, would be appreciated. Thank you so much, everybody. Mwah. Hope everybody voted, and I will see you on Thursday. Have a great night.